Welcome to another episode of the Built Different podcast. I am your host, Simon Mee, and I'm flying solo today. But in the studio with me, I have Joey and Miles from East Elevation Constructions. And I'm excited to chat to these guys today to find out how they have turned their building journey into what it is today. So Joey and Miles, welcome to the Built Different podcast.
Thanks for having us.
G'day.
Now, today I just want to find a little bit about you guys and your story and how you came to being the builders you are today. I understand that Joey and Miles, you guys took very different paths to, I guess, come to where you are now, and you started a business together in the midst of COVID, and some would argue, was that actually a sensible decision or not? So we're excited to hear about how that actually kind of came about to be. But before we get into it, we want to do a bit of an icebreaker and hear about some of your workplace nicknames. I'm sure you've heard a few of them around the trap, but what do you got for us?
One I heard the other day, which I like, was Sensolite.
Yeah?
Only works when somebody walks by.
That's good.
This one wasn't mine, but goldfish. So after 5 minutes, just forgets everything they're told and just goes about their business.
That's good. We've got a guy, Wheelbarrow, and he only works when he's being pushed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think I'm a bit of I've been called Noodles before because I'm one of those guys who thinks everything takes 2 minutes.
Yep. Keen though.
Not everything, but I'm talking on-site
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
right? On-site. Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to being in the position you are now, starting a building company in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah. For myself, I guess I spent my 20s in a variety of roles. Ended up at a bit of a crossroads where I was either going to go apprenticeship or decided to go construction management at uni. I was overseas at the time. When I moved back, I got back in touch with Joey, who we'd grown up together, and then he got us a job with a builder. After a little bit there, we sort of, I guess, started talking about future plans and how our sort of ideas closely aligned. We both had young families, young kids at the time, so for us, jumping out and starting something that was our own seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, it did. Mine was slightly different, as you said before. Mine was very much traditional trade route. High school, finished HSC, went and did that. Miles and I went to high school together, so that was a lot of fun. I didn't want to stop in year 10. So went, got my HSC. Obviously didn't need it, but it was still really good to do. And then, got HIA apprenticeship because the host trainer I was with was keen to get me through HIA. Met with them and it was great, like a lot of support throughout the years, especially when, and Miles, actually, you did some work. Yeah. We kind of touched base through my apprenticeship where Miles would do some labouring for the same company. And he went into drill rigs and he said, do you want to get into drill rigging? And I was like, no, I'm doing carpentry apprenticeship. So
And I went and worked for him.
You went to drill rigs for a while. So that was interesting. But then, I was left without a host trainer and HO found me another one, which was great. That work finished up and then they got me another one who I was with for basically the 2 years to finish out my building course. And did my builder's course, Cert 4 in TAFE, sort of overlapping my TAFE, which I'd recommend for other people as well. So not that I was ready when I finished my apprenticeship to jump into have my builder's license, but just to have it in your back pocket is really, really good. So after that, worked as a tradesman for a year, went over to the UK, did the 2-year visa thing, worked in construction over there.
In
London.
Resi or commercial over there?
I guess you call it Resi over there, yes.
You're kind of in the, what do you call them, like the side by side,
it was like
150-year-old houses.
Older, like 4-story Victorian terrace sort of thing right in the city. It was great. It was such a good experience, but rocking up to site with the buckets frozen in water and stuff like that was definitely different. But again, good experience, and came back and landed a job with the same employer I had when Miles ended up coming back. And that was through as a subby first, and then was at a crossroads, do I get all my tools, get an apprentice, and then work through this, or got offered a supervisor job with them. And I said, got nothing to lose. I'm going to get into that. And then supervisor, project manager, and that kind of brought us to sort of 3 years ago.
Yeah, wow. Well, before we jump into, I guess, the next chapter for you guys, today's topic is about taking the leap. And what we want to really drill down on today is how can we inform apprentices or people going through their building and construction career about when's the right time to take the leap, what do you need to have under your belt, and what's the best way to do it, and where do you start. And it's obviously worked out pretty well for you guys.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to uncover in today's topic. So first of all, tell us about you guys taking the leap in the middle of COVID and how that went for you there. Actually, you know what? Let's start about your relationship, because I think it'll be really interesting to hear a little bit more about going into business with friends first, and then we'll talk about actually taking that leap together.
Yeah.
I guess there's definitely people out there that would not recommend it.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's
but,
understandable.
Yeah. But for us, I think we set our goals.
Yep.
We knew what we wanted to do, and we realised that we were so closely aligned with those. And we aired all our dirty laundry, so to say, said, this is what I want, this is what I want. Can we achieve this together? And for Joey and I, we're quite methodical with our approach to things like that. So for us, it was...
I feel like we're weirdly aligned.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I would say definitely get into a partnership, hey, because there are so many different characters out of there. I don't know how it's worked quite as well as it has, to be honest.
Because you always hear about, those relationships of people coming together. Some people are just on the same wavelength and it just works like that. And then some people are just those puzzle pieces who are just completely different, but they work so well together. So you're the wavelength boys, hey?
It's the vibe. I think that like ego. I really don't, like, other people might have a different opinion, but I think we both don't have an ego. If we're like going, I stuff that up. Yeah. That was on me. You can do it. And
not
then
so
we're both not like
our way.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that kind of works. But having the background through high school, we knew each other. We were little rat bags, so that's okay. And that's good, and we knew each other quite well, so it's not like we didn't know each other in that way before jumping into when money is involved.
Yeah. I think for someone that was thinking about going into business with a mate or with someone they know, it would really be sort of putting down pen and paper, do we want the same thing? Because one person might want to go, get the business as big as you can. One person might want to stay small. And if that doesn't align, then you're going to butt heads and it's going to become difficult. But Joey and I just didn't have that problem. Really.
That's great.
It's still only early days, and also
don't leave me.
The quality of work too. I think what are you willing to accept and not accept, and in that way we're aligned as well. Because if one partner is saying no, that's good enough, and the other one's like, no, I'm not happy with it. That is a real problem you come up with from some time, whether it's tradesmen, your own work, or your employees. If something's not cool, it's going to cost you money to redo it. But you need to make that call together. And
I think there's an approach how we deal with people, whether it's a client, whether it's a trade supplier. We're both quite similar people in that way. We're not. We want the best result for everyone.
Yeah, great.
And we find it's worked very well for us. Communication, as I said, was always key. And for us, whether it's an issue on site, we'll be upfront about it. Talking to the trades about what we want, when we want it, and working together, I guess. We both have a very similar approach when it comes to those aspects of the business.
It must have made it so much easier. Being organically aligned like that.
Yeah.
When you guys came together to take the leap, what were your initial thoughts or goals, short term, long term? Like, what were they actually? I know that they were aligned, which is handy, but what were they? Do you remember?
It's that because it was quite a rush start, and I guess we were just having lunch together, and I was like, I'm pretty keen to make my own, to jump out and use my license and start doing it. And Miles was like, well, I'm not that stoked where we're at either. Do you want to do it together? And it just made sense from the start. But I guess from where the goals changed, it was COVID at the start. We had no idea what that landscape would look like. So to be honest, it was Miles and I, nail bag on the tools during the day, get an apprentice, at night do the bookkeeping, do all that. But as it happened, a lot of the big builders just didn't have the capacity to take on any more jobs. So quite quickly, through our own contacts of architects, designers, they were giving us plans to look over, to quote on jobs that we didn't think in 5 years' time we'd be looking at.
Right place, right time.
It really was. And it really wasn't the intention. So very quickly it changed from us on the tools doing everything, renovations, decks, pergolas, all that sort of stuff. And then just going through to going, all right, we're building a duplex.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think that was
Straight
almost the
into
first
it.
job.
Yeah, but I guess like it's not to say don't jump anything that you're not confident in. I'd been in the duplex sort of world for about 5 to 6 years prior to that.
It's a little bit different when it's your name on it at the end of the day.
It definitely is, but the technical side and the managing side, I was confident as you can be. You don't know everything in building, obviously, but I knew that we weren't going to jump into something that we couldn't complete. So it was just really nice to have that opportunity quite quick to do, but we didn't expect it.
Yeah.
So it kind of the goals changed really quickly.
Yeah.
And it was probably 6 months before we even jumped out that we were planning at night, working through setting the business up, talking to the suppliers to get accounts.
We'd finish work, get the kids down to sleep, say bye to the wife. I'd go over to Miles' house.
And then, then your second job starts.
Basically start quoting things,
Wow.
and we'd be up like some nights like midnight, and I'd be driving back home, bed, and then up for work. So it was very, burn the candle at both ends.
Well, there's a lot to it, right? Like, you come out of your apprenticeship and you're a qualified tradesman, and then you're looking at be a sub, able to take that leap, right? It's very different to what the actual your day to day on the tools is. And you guys, we were just chatting before we started recording that you both aren't on the tools anymore. Like you're around site all the time, but it's very different to the set of skills that you would have learnt on the job as such.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Tell us a little bit about East Elevation Construction and what your company looks like now. What kind of work you're doing, how many people you got working for you, apprentices, and what's that look like?
Yeah, so currently we have supervisor, 2 carpenters and 2 apprentices.
Yep.
HA apprentices.
Yeah, HA apprentices.
Love to hear it.
Right.
Good.
Yeah. So we're currently working sort of a mix between multi-res developments and custom homes.
Mm-hmm. Whereabouts?
In Newcastle, Hunter region, Maitland. So that seems the multi-res is definitely an area we're targeting.
Yep.
And we'll always sort of do the custom homes as well.
Yeah.
Last year, we sort of made the decision to not actively pursue renovations, just the way things were going and the type of work that we enjoy doing seemed to be in the larger scale sort of builds.
Yep.
Duplexes. I think we have a 4-unit site.
Yep.
And I guess coming up this year, sort of a very similar style of work coming through. One renovation snuck its way in there, but
it's a good client.
Ideal client.
Good.
So there's always room, but
Yeah,
nice.
I find the multi-res space, not everyone can do it, and we enjoy it because you can work closely with consultants, whether it be the architect or the certifier and stuff like that, where we fit in really well because you have multiple neighbours, tricky easements and services that have got to come in, so they're not just you pump out cookie cutter type housing, which we're happy not to be in that space either. So we like it, and the type of trades we work with, got a pretty close knit trades and suppliers that we like to work with. So,
yeah, great.
Yeah.
So we sort of typically have 3 to 4 jobs on at a time, which is a comfortable place for us to be in.
Yeah.
We're not worked to the bone. We both have young kids, so got to be home for the bed bath routine kind of thing.
And we want to be, and that was always another one of where we're aligned. Like, although it's a young business and you've got to work to the bone, do all that sort of stuff, that is true. We do it in our own times, but having a partnership, we're able to offset that, work really hard in the hours that we've got.
Yeah.
But for us, families is so important to be the dad that's home to hang out with the kids before they get to bed.
Yeah.
So
and also we've always wanted to remain really client focused. So not having too many jobs, we're able to spend the time on the phone or meeting on site, making sure they're happy, communicating the next stages of the job, or really just close communication at all stages of the job.
Yep.
And not having too many projects on at once is kind of been key to that.
It's a really important balance. Like, one of the benefits of working for yourself is that you do have control over your work-life balance. Yeah. You can set it up in a way that gives you that and it works for you. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So going back to taking the plunge, what were your expectations versus the realities of actually taking that step and going out on your own? What were some of your early successes and some of your maybe early failures and what you've learned from that along the way?
I would say expectations around the business side of things, just I guess the wealth of knowledge we've sort of needed to acquire.
Yep.
And the late nights and the hours put in on the backside of the business to keep things running.
Did you think it would be as much as it is, or it's more?
I didn't think it would be as much. I guess even the tendering, estimating, how much time that took up, and that really required me to jump off the tools earlier than Joey, to sort of head up things on that side of the business, which was a benefit of the partnership because Joey kept things running on site, and I was able to sort of get through some of the estimates. But the backwards and forwards with clients, like, you know, you've got 4, 5, 6 different versions of each tender.
But it has to be. If you're building someone's house.
That's right.
Especially the ones we are, which are almost design and construct type things. Those aren't, they're not thrashed out, all those details, until we go to price it.
Really. True.
So, that expectation probably was a lot more.
And there's a lot on the line when you're building someone's dream home.
Oh, yeah.
It's everything to them, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a huge...
That's
part
right.
of it.
Yeah. That's why we need to give them the time. It have to. Yeah. It just has to.
So would you say your biggest success was starting out?
Probably, I wouldn't even put a dollar value on it or anything. Like, I mean, that's probably been one of the expectations. Like, the money doesn't come as quick as what some people would think. Probably didn't even with us, even though we didn't have high expectations anyway. You're definitely toiling along before you can actually see some traction sort of happening. But I think one of the successes is, into the third year and still going really in a positive way. We're getting the jobs we like. We're working with the people that we like to work with, and I think that's one of the successes for sure.
And why do you think that's happened? Like, how do you think you've generated that success? Like, what do you attribute that success to?
I think we're
quality. I think
we have. The quality's there, but I think we treat people fairly and we're honest.
And quality, by the sounds of it, is a loaded word for you guys. It's not just the quality of, you know, the build, but the quality of the manager, the relationships that you manage at the same time, right? It's all so important. If you can keep that consistent along the way, then you can deliver the results.
That's
definitely.
Right.
There's so many pitfalls that can happen within a building. Within the build in general, you got weather, supply issues, people issues. Like, you name it, there's just so many that can go wrong, but just every day we're just still at it, just still chipping away, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's probably, been one of the biggest successes.
Yeah.
I'd find, you know, again, going back to the partnership, we've managed to create in a short period of time quite a good work-life balance.
That's great.
If I need to pick the kids up from daycare, I can go and do it.
Yeah.
No issues.
Yep.
We want to go for a long weekend away, or no issues. And it's interchangeable, so we're happy.
We're harder on ourselves than what. Usually it's the other way around, going, oh, Mike, you go away for the weekend. But I don't want to because of that. So it's kind of like we work in the opposite way in that sort of thing. Just like, go and do it.
We're completing projects successly. We're happy, and the business is running well.
That's awesome. It's good to hear those success stories coming off the back.
And as well, we've kept the company running. You've had 2 kids in that. I've just had the newborn in that. There's been a lot of life happen from that time, which isn't work related. Which have just happened along the way, and it's been a juggle and being able to do it.
That's right.
So that's amazing to hear, because I think that's the dream for anyone who's setting out to, you know, build their own business and to take the leap into the taking responsibility for themselves. That they do want that, and there are so many things that go into, you know, running a business and making it all happen. That, you know, you can't control it all, and you need good people around you to make that happen.
Yeah, and shout out to our partners, my wife, your partners. They've been great through it as well, and you need that.
That's great,
and that's one lesson to any young up and coming is: do not neglect your family, because if everything goes upside down from there, they're still there. The work will be changing, changing. You'll always be busy, all that sort of stuff.
There'll be that one consistent.
They'll always be there. So make sure you keep making time.
That's great.
We've tried to create that ideal work environment for the guys that are employed by us.
Yep.
Because we really try to drill in that, family comes first, work second. Wherever we can, we like to be flexible, because I know as an employee, you always sort of make mental notes as you're going through life, saying, I wish I could do this different, or why can't they do this differently? Now, as an employer, I have the ability to sort of make those changes.
We've got 9-day fortnights now. We've implemented this
so
year.
they get
and it's going well.
Awesome.
It's going well.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Things like that. So it's good to be able to make those changes and make those positive impacts on people that work for us. And
that's huge. What advice would you have to someone who is looking to go out on their own, or what advice would you give to your younger self going back through that process again?
I think setting the goals is key.
Are you a big write them down and
write down the goals and then break them down into bite-sized chunks.
Yep.
For us, I think setting up, whether it's supplier 30-day accounts, something like that, take the time to do things bit by bit, and everything will be better off. Certainly don't dwell on the mistakes you make. That's a big one, because you're gonna make them.
You will.
Yeah.
The best thing is just to learn from them and get better each time. But
Yeah, I think I would definitely say take the time in learning the skills of behind the scenes, because it's all well and good. You go through your apprenticeship, you've got all that technical knowledge of the 4 years, 5, 6, if you want to take it out past your apprenticeship a little bit more, which is key.
Yep.
I'd say take up a supervising role, leading hand role, project manager role, because I liked when you went through uni miles and I saw the different side of the construction industry in a more commercial sense. That opened up a whole separate way of looking at business and looking at construction, which I think we both really like. We both like building, but we both equally like business.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of important, right?
Yeah.
It has to, like, you have to have both. Like, if you want to be a craftsman, go be a craftsman. That's cool too. That's really cool. And rock up with your awesome trailer and your awesome tools, and that'll be fun. But if you're more business inclined and you like efficiencies and spreadsheets and all that sort of stuff, like that,
understanding
that's
the
really
numbers.
fun too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like know what you like before you jump out and do it. And if you know kind of what you like after your apprenticeship, don't rush into doing it yourself. Work for someone who does something like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Learn your mistakes, learn from mentors, that sort of thing, and learn how to deal with problems that are always going to rise every day.
Yep.
So
A bit of piece that I got from an old boss of mine back when I was working in the corporate world was make sure your ladder is leaning up against the right wall.
yeah, for sure, that's
And
good.
Yeah, it was quite interesting that that was something that was told to me in a corporate perspective, and here I am now on the tools, and it's more relevant than anything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, making sure that if you want to be that craftsman, stay on the tools, and align yourself to go that way and set yourself goals and steps to go in the direction that you want to go.
Construction's a hard game to be in.
Yeah.
Like for all the reasons I said before. And it's exactly that. If the goal's not right at the top, then what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
Just sort of tweak it a little bit. There's so many cool niches that you can be part of in the industry now. There's no excuse to find a little bit that you kind of don't like as well.
And I guess a skilled tradesman might not necessarily make a skilled businessman. You really sort of need to, and for us, this has been a journey that we're still on, understanding the numbers, what things are costing us, where the money's going, how to track it, things like that. It's ongoing, and it's sometimes can drive you crazy and keep you up at night.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And like Joey said, there's spreadsheets, and there's lots of versions of those spreadsheets where it's evolved, and but we think we're getting there.
Yep.
For us, that was key, really understanding the numbers, how to price a job properly.
Yeah, cool. I want to jump in and talk about apprentices. You guys mentioned before you had a couple of HIA apprentices. What makes a good apprentice in your eyes?
I think the skill on the tools isn't the first thing I look at, that's for sure.
That can be taught, right?
That can be taught. If you're on time and you're happy to come to work and you ask the right questions, you're 95% of the way there.
Yep.
Just having someone that's eager to learn is really great to see.
Yep.
And whether the task might not always be desirable, but as long as there's sort of a half smile on their face, and
it's the attitude. It's amazing how much of a difference the attitude makes to coming to work and being an apprentice, and just how much that can set you apart from the people around you. And I think that has been a bit of a recurring theme in what we keep talking about here at Build Different. It's a really big part of taking your career to the next level. If you've got the right attitude, and then everything will fall that way for you.
It's the basics. It's turning up on time. It's being keen, and then it's leaving at the right time as well. Just really just being fair with what you're doing. And there's reasons why all those nicknames are there. Like it's
because you'll come across them. Like I know we joke about it, but they're out there.
They are out there for a reason. Those ones. So do your best on site, and the technical stuff will come in time, and hopefully you get a good host trainer and stuff that's going to look at your unique sort of way of doing things and adapt as well. But we've found mature age apprentices have been our really good fit.
That's great.
For some reason, we definitely wouldn't be biased against the right person, 17, 18-year-old coming in, but we've just found the mature age guys with a bit of life experience, they're happy to get up, go to work, do the hard work because that's exactly where they want to be.
They've made that conscious decision to go and do that trade.
That's right.
Not just sort of taking
not
something
just rolled out of bed and gotten on the site and going, oh, what am I doing here?
We had a...
Would you guys have hired yourself straight out of high school?
I think
that's good.
No, yeah, because we were pretty keen on our dreadlocks back then. I probably wouldn't have looked them up, but I reckon I was a hard worker.
We always turned up to work.
That's half the battle.
True.
All right, before we wrap up, we've got a user submitted question, and when you're about taking the leap, I want to go into business with my best mate. What kind of boundaries should we set?
Good question.
Have we had to set any?
No, I mean, like I say, I guess really you have to understand a lot of things, probably personal, whether it's finance or, motivation. You really need to uncover all of that. So, but as far as personal boundaries, we
haven't had to.
No,
that's weird because it's like stop texting me at 10 or 11 at night. We still do that. But I'm like, I'm thinking about that too. I guess there's been sort of goals rather than boundaries to say, right, we aren't, because we're working a bit too late now, let's put a boundary on. All right, just if you see an email pop up, that's probably a good one. An email pop up, don't tell the other person because then they're going to look and maybe stress about it sort of thing. So I guess time boundaries on things.
Just be respectful of the other people around you and stuff. But I mean, it's just amazing that you guys are on that same wavelength. Yeah. And I think it's probably a really unique and special thing because there are so many different tradies out there that come from so many different backgrounds and walks of life, and whether it be levels of education or ambitions and stuff like that. To find someone that you just get along well with and you have the same kind of goals, that's
as a suggestion, because I've thought if we didn't, because the partnership at the start was almost like one of the sketchier things about we're undertaking this, partnerships can fail, but lo and behold, it's been probably one of the best things I think that we've actually gone into. But how would you recreate that? You don't have to be partners. Do a WhatsApp group with some local builders that are your age in the thing, and you can get together and have a whinge about things because
you probably all got the same problems.
You can't whinge to an employee because they don't care. Suppliers, they've got their own problems. Everyone's got their own problems. But if you're whinging in a good way to other builders, then that's helpful too.
And that's been our saving grace. I think it would be a very lonely road to do this by yourself.
It would be,
And that's, like I say, on the drive home, we can say, mate, maybe this is an issue today, but we talk it out.
Debrief.
And then you
don't hold that resentment.
It's off your chest.
Yeah.
And you get another set of eyes on how to look at a particular situation, which is always great to do. Everyone has their own approach to something, and sometimes you can get tunnel vision. Suddenly you just need someone to say, hey, what about if we did it this way? And you go, okay.
And then ego, again, comes back to ego. Just to go, actually, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Or tell it straight and say, no, it's not a good idea.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Joey and Miles, thank you very much for your time today. That has been
great.
Fantastic. Whereabouts can our listeners find you?
Instagram's probably best, at East Elevation Construction. That's probably the best and one we keep most current with the projects we're doing and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
That's great. That's probably a really good segue because we have a Facebook group called Tradie and Apprentice Q&As. So you can get out there and join that and drop any questions that you have in there. It's good to have that community around to have that support and ask questions. And it's not your boss and it's not your co-worker, but a space that you can have that support from the community.
That's right.
Good stuff. And thank you very much again for your time.
Appreciate you having us.
That's all we have time for today. But if you want to get involved with the podcast, you can follow us at Built Different Australia on Instagram. Follow us there, and we will catch you next time.